Hi, harmony is a pretty popular word. Harmonious relationships, a harmonious life. Who wouldn't want that? If you ask what harmony is, most people will answer more or less like this. When all aspects of life are in balance and in agreement with each other. When there are healthy relationships with loved ones. Time for rest, hobbies, and also the chance to develop and grow as a person. A person living a harmonious life feels healthy, happy, and satisfied, and their life is directed toward balance and harmony in all areas. Now let's ask the next question. Under what conditions is harmony possible? And again, most people will answer, when a person lives in accordance with their values and beliefs, when they respect themselves and others, when they know how to find compromises and resolve conflicts. When they are ready to take responsibility for their actions and not shift it onto others. Harmony is also possible when a person knows how to find joy in small things, when they can forgive and not hold grudges, when they are ready to change and develop. Look around. Are there many like that in your environment? In the history of humanity? Once, rather confidently, it seemed to me that I was close to such a state. A stormy, active social and private life, sports, business, the attributes of success, recognition, relationships, connections, personal growth, and self-realization. In short, for complete happiness, all that was missing was to reduce the number of constantly arising external problems, and otherwise, everything was just wonderful. The instability of that time, the unpredictability, the uncertainty of the next day caused a permanent state of growing anxiety. The more unknown there is, the higher the anxiety. Compared to 20 years ago, everything became even more complicated. On one hand, the desire for harmony and happiness in the absence of knowledge and understanding of how to achieve it on the other hand. Unpredictability and constantly changing conditions of the environment, economic, political, legal. What kind of harmony is there? If you look around, there really isn't any. In social life, humanity still hasn't managed to create a harmonious social ecosystem by the example of biological nature. But that's not the point. The dilemma is different. The external world is not harmonious, and the inner world of most people is not balanced either. So what should we do? I'll offer one option. It is, of course, not connected with the ambition of harmonizing the entire external world. That's hardly possible in principle, unless only in utopian novels. But yourself, and partly your own external space, quite possibly, yes. To begin with, it is necessary to identify what can hypothetically be harmonized, the personality and the soul. Accordingly, we have physical material activity, social and communicative activity, and a behavioral approach when I treat my components as tools, using them to interact with the world, and with their help, I learn. I come to know the world and other people. Our tools, body, personality, soul are potentially developable, and that is what is done in the process of upbringing and education from the earliest years. All self-development methods are aimed at this. Many develop, study, sometimes throughout their whole lives, in order to better handle their body, personality, and psycho-emotional sphere. Taking the above into account, one can imagine harmony as a balance, an equal presence of my parts, my components, my tools, and their activities in inner and outer life. The quality of the tools, the quality of the connection between them, determines the quality of the results of their activity, that is, my use, my role, me as a center in the even distribution of attention. Remember, where attention is, there is energy. There are tons of examples around of uneven distribution and its consequences. To keep it simple, I'll give a couple of banal ones. In sports, one can often meet outstanding representatives of different directions who professionally master their body and at the same time have weak abilities, or among scientists, unique intelligence and a so-so body, an organism suffering, for example, from hypodynamia, more attention in one direction, less in another. Attention is a limited resource. There is such a thing as the tone of attention and concentration of attention, and they depend on many factors. The state of the organism, the presence of interests, the external environment, all this affects it. Besides that, balance is important not only between the tools, but also between the objective world and the subjective one. Let's take the next step in understanding harmony. The external world, meaning its social side, is the embodiment of our thoughts, feelings, sensations. Before a chair became a chair, first, in someone's mind, there appeared the thought of a stump with the aim of convenience. Sensations added softness, and a chair appeared for comfort, satisfaction, according to the Maslow pyramid. The creative component came in, and we see a designer, a branded chair for aesthetics. Where are thoughts, feelings, and sensations born? In consciousness, in emptiness, in silence. Where are they embodied in life? It's easy to see. Just start observing your thoughts, sensations, feelings from the position of a researcher. That is, by asking yourself questions. Where do they come from? How do they manifest themselves? And where do they disappear? The tools are receptors, which are reflected in our consciousness, our inner world, our space. Again, where thoughts, images, representations arise. Consciousness, in the space of emptiness, where sounds arise, melody or cacophony. Consciousness, in the space of silence, where feelings, experiences arise. Consciousness against the background of peace. I can be aware of this space of emptiness and peace, inside and outside. It is one space, and in it, form manifests, sounds, states. Speaking of harmony, it is important to feel around, to get acquainted with, to inhabit the space, the original space of oneself. It is basic. It is our home, and one gets lost in form, in personality, losing the connection with it, plunging almost completely into thought processes, tactile and sensory ones, giving oneself over to movement and activity, while forgetting precisely one's source, ourself, into the external world. How the external world is arranged rather than the inner one. And therefore, people strive to master knowledge and skills of managing the external world without thinking that the inner world also has its own structure, and learning to manage it is much more important for one's own happiness. Again, remember the experience of deep, dreamless sleep when you knew, if only for a short time, your harmony, a state of quiet joy, happiness, which by default is originally present in every person as the essence of our nature. Having realized it, having returned home, you begin to perceive the world differently. It stops being somehow not right. It is as it is, and as it always was, with all its joys, tragedies, pleasures, pain, discoveries, losses, with a variety of points of view, with all this emotional sensory scale from furious hatred to divine love, and chaos and harmony in the space of the I am, the space of emptiness, silence, peace. It does not come and it does not go. It is always here and now and unchanging, unlike thoughts and sensations. The question is, what is my attention focused and gathered on at this moment? The source of consciousness is like the sun that has hit an obstacle, personality, and through the crack of subjectivity responds a point, a section on the territory, having jolted the individual, isolated, shaped. And if that is so, welcome to the world of chaos, divided, where there also exist concepts of a harmonious life, an unreachable ideal dream. Of course, one can strive for it, and one should. In any case, that is good. But being part of society that is chaos, achieving fullness, will not work by definition. The crack does not allow it. The narrowness of perception, the conditioning of personality, the source of harmony, of form or before form, which means before personality. The first step toward it is to discover your emptiness, silence, and peace inside. That which is already there, I repeat, right now and here, and has always been. And then to pay attention that the so-called external world also manifests in the same way. Try to look for the boundaries of the space of emptiness, silence, peace. Life flows in space. The fact remains, they are emptiness, silence, peace. You can't even say that phenomena exist. It is such a background, and then contradictions are removed. Being at home without any mysticism, opens the feeling of peace. That is, before creation, before thought, before images, before sensations, before feelings, experiences. 0. Is the food chain in biological nature chaos when one animal kills another for survival? Look at the cruelty of a cat playing with a mouse during mating season. There are many examples too. The territory, the human being, well, the question is not put that way. We see harmony, balance in this, and say that it is an ecosystem. Social life, society, that is also a system, arranged in a certain way. Who is its creator? We are. What we are, such is society. What I am, such is my life. That's the task. Only after gaining a feeling of inner peace does life and affairs change, or begin to change. For this, nothing special will be needed. The external is a reflection of the internal, they say. I understand that this approach requires that very inner work, and any work implies the presence of certain means. Using the method of self-observation, self-inquiry, and mainly, I used 2 means, reflection and meditation. Reflection gave me questions and answers. There is a link to it. Meditation gave me the experience of answers. Of course, mastering them requires both time and effort. So without proper motivation, you can't do without it. To bring harmony into your life, into yourself, is to bring harmony into the space in which others are also located. Someone among them will feel it, hear it, and want to tune in, thereby strengthening it. There is a principle for oneself, for people, for the temple. By gaining peace, by revealing harmony in ourselves, we one way or another influence others with our sounding, and together we already sound the space around us, influencing the fact that there is more and more harmony at the expense of chaos. That is the process. That is already the result of joint activity. But one obviously has to start with oneself. So, step by step, the next space can be the next space of harmonization, the family. For me, that's an excellent motivation.